Episode 48, This Life in Tech. I am Jason.
And I'm Dan.
I was prepared for it that time, man.
Dude, it is so cold in Indiana. It's got to be, I think it's like 8 degrees, but it has been snowing for like 2 weeks straight.
It's been getting down to like the low 40s, high 30s maybe, because I'm sleeping. I don't check it. Dude, it is cold here. I've had my space heater on all morning.
Yeah, it is.
It's 67 right now, and I'm ready to put the house heater on.
Yeah. I mean, I'm about, I'm freezing. It is so cold, I'm just having to drink in order to. Thankfully, where I'm at, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, I mean, it's lunchtime here. I could have some if I had some, but I don't have any.
It's because it's so cold, everyone's out. They all rushed to the store.
Oh man. Well, where do we want to start?
Yeah, so let's just do it briefly real quick because this happened. We talked last week about this Edward Snowden app, right? What was it called? Haven?
Yeah, something like that.
So we said, basically last week, I really said I wouldn't go anywhere near this thing. It's more than likely another Russian front like Kaspersky, you name it, whatever. Ira Winkler said the same thing on LinkedIn. And a whole bunch of people piled on, and some theories got a little crazy, whatever. But then one person came out and said, his name's James Donaldson, who I've talked to a couple of times, makes a really good Android OS called Coppermine, and he's a smart guy. I'm not going to say it, but he said something that I completely disagree with. And what he said is there's so much FUD on this thread, which is the thread about this Snowden app, that it basically makes him sick. If you can't read, or the app code is published, here's the GitHub link. If you can't read the code, then keep your opinion to yourself, blah, blah, blah. And I replied, just because it's open source doesn't mean anything. Look at all the open source vulnerabilities that have happened that have been found many years later. Bash, OpenSSL, you name it. It's out there. Apache has how many vulnerabilities all the time? Come on. But that's not the issue. As cybersecurity people and professionals that are out there, I can read code. I have zero desire to read Edward Snowden's code, mainly because I already don't trust him or any person he was working with. So why would I take the time to read code that I know it doesn't matter what's there anyway? I don't trust him.
And yeah, that makes no sense to me, man. Why you would offer up that somewhat of an ultimatum? So by that logic, does he just buy electronics from China without worrying about backdoors in the chipsets because he can't read the firmware?
Right.
Does that guy only use software that has open source code? Does he only use hardware that's open blueprint? Of course not. That's silly. Nobody lives their life that way. We've known people that have tried personally, and they don't live very productive lives.
Dude, I tried going nothing but, we'll say, not complete, free and open source software, but I went a good 4 months. It was hard. Just trying to teach online at Capital because of the Adobe Connect app. That was a pain.
It's impossible if you want to do a screen share because they stopped producing the Linux plugin. They had it and it worked, and then they stopped making it, and the new versions don't exist, and there's no replacement for it. It's impossible. Here's what I've deduced. By the way, let's wrap this up. But I'll wrap my side of this up with this thought. I've tried it too, and we've talked about this on prior podcasts. And I like the idea of it. I fully support it, and I think you can do it somewhat moderately easy if you don't integrate with anything or anybody. It's fucking easy.
Yeah, sure.
But the minute you want to try and be productive and collaborate and integrate with any kind of service that's modern, forget about it.
Yeah. And so, I understand James's point overall, but here's the thing that we were talking about a little bit off air. One, we'll just say that I have no idea if this app's going to make it through Google Play or not. If I had to guess, and this is just a pure guess, I think he puts it in a third-party app store. And if he does, it's even more suspect to me. But let's say it does go through Google Play. Why not write this code to put the hooks in there to do an update after the fact drop in your malicious code later, because all right, okay, so you read this version of the code. Are you going to read every single update? Are you going to do a diff on all of them? Who has time for that? I don't have time for that. So,
well, no, right. I mean, and that's the trend. Look at all these apps now that are being found that listen over the microphone to serve you targeted ads.
Hello, Uber.
What's that?
Uber.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and they've been doing it since day one. And my point is that most of these apps have been doing it since day one, because why wouldn't you? Put yourself in their shoes. Why wouldn't you? So to think that just because the source code initially looks clean, that it's always going to be clean is just obviously a blatant fallacy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole reason why we have Microsoft Patch Tuesday, because we're always finding the vulnerabilities. So, I mean, I'll end it just with this. And this is for everyone, whether you're just starting off in technology or you've been at it for 20 plus years. If you don't trust the company, if you don't trust the people developing the software, there's no sense in reviewing it ever again, because trust is everything in, well, life, but especially in this space. So if you don't trust it, just get rid of it and go on to the next. And personally, I don't find this app to be of any real value. It means I got to carry more than one phone around, and I'm not looking to do that either. That's my phone.
Yeah, and again, that was kind of my position. I don't have so much of a trust issue with it like you do. I just don't understand the point of it. I don't understand how it's even remotely useful and how it has a valid use case, at least not for my life. I mean, and it's not that I'm not paranoid about people coming into my room. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, people. But I just like, why would I leave anything there anyway? I mean, that's the thing. What if you have sensitive stuff that you're worried about somebody coming in and compromising? Why would you leave it there? And if you're worried about people coming in and putting bugs in your room, why the fuck are you leaving the room? Or why are you staying somewhere where lots of people could have access to it? Anyway, so on to our predictions?
Yeah, let's go on to predictions. You want to go first?
Sure, man, because I'll just come off the easy with the heavy hitter. I think in 2018, and I think a lot of this is going to be politically motivated. In fact, there's a few things on my list. I'm looking at my list up in the corner that I think are going to be retaliatory or blowback from our current political environment. Okay. And one of these, my first one, is going to be Kaspersky outed as an SFB front.
I mean, hasn't it already happened though?
I don't know. I don't know if it's been blatantly.
Oh, blatantly obvious. All right, I got you. All right.
Like, yeah. I mean, like a mainstream media news headline. And I think, I don't know if you've watched it,
like
man, but
vacationing together.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, kind of like I was just going to say, I don't know if you've watched it on Netflix, the documentary Icarus.
Yeah.
With the cycling dude, and it goes into the doping, and look what that resulted in. It resulted in multiple times now Russia not being able to participate. Now, what a lot of people don't maybe realize or forget is that there was a retaliation from Russia, and what was it called? Fancy Bear, where they popped the World Doping Agency, WADA, and that's how we got all the leaked therapeutic use information for the cyclists, like Chris Froome and Bradley Wiggins, and all this data got leaked on top of all this other shit.
Right.
That was a retaliation. And so I think given the political climate, particularly between the US and Russia, I wouldn't be surprised, man, if somebody gets upset about something and I mean, Russia just got given North Korea oil.
Yeah. That's good. I dig it. All right. My first one is this. And I'm doubling down on my 2017 prediction. And by the way, we are the only ones that have ever predicted this. And we're the only ones that have gotten it right. So I'm doubling down again. A major breach that occurs, the CIO will get fired again. Boom.
Yeah. Well, and there's precedence now. Yeah. And there's precedence now. That genie's out of the bottle. So now that role is somebody that can be blamed. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be. Yeah.
Doubling down.
All right, man. Here's my next one. Let's see. What do I want to go with? Yeah, I'll go with this one. This is a good one. As many of our viewers might be aware, but for those that aren't, the European Union in particular, and certainly the individual countries, have very strict privacy and technology laws, and there's a new one coming out that deals with specifically data. And I think, especially given this week, the uncovering of Apple deliberately slowing down phones, or I should just say devices, because it ain't just the phones. I mean, let's not lie. It's not just the phones, but those are the ones they got caught doing. I think we're going to see some serious crackdown from the EU on major tech companies, not around the hardware or even the software, but around how those companies use user-generated data, like Uber, which is going to be the first case.
Yeah, I think it's good because, you know, Uber, and I don't remember which country, maybe it was just the EU in general, just got classified as a taxi service.
Yes.
So that's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah, it is. That's a huge deal to their business model.
That's good. I dig that. All right, so here's another bold prediction for me. Because, you know, go bold or go home, right? You know, let's not come out with these weak things like saying this will be the year of endpoint security, which almost every single cybersecurity expert says. I don't care about that. Here it is again. And this is because people in general will not vote with their feet or their dollar where they're going to spend it. Every single 100% of every publicly traded company that gets breached will be trading higher within 6 months than what they were before the breach occurred.
In a statistically significant manner? That's a good one, man. I'd really never thought about it. But I bet if we went back and looked at the data for companies like, you know, Target, TJ Maxx, Heartland, so forth and so on, Sony, yeah, man, I wonder. Because, well, there's a myriad of reasons why. That's an interesting prediction, man. That'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, because, I mean, here's the way I look at it. You know, people aren't going to stop going and buying those services, no matter where it is. I mean, Starbucks, they were breached. Their app was breached. And their CEO came out and said, we chose convenience over security. No one cared. Until people start actually voting with their feet, voting with where they spend their dollar, no company is going to truly change their practices.
No, there's no such thing as brand loyalty. There's convenience loyalty.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people miss, particularly in our community. A breach isn't, it's not that a breach isn't bad, it is bad. But a breach is a breach. And saying that we shouldn't use a company because they got breached, I don't think is the way forward. The way forward, which ties into my next prediction, is to come up with something that's more convenient for the user, that provides a better value, that repackages a service in a different way so that it's more usable. And I think this is going to be the year where we start to see serious investment into community-driven networks. You already see the talk now in response to net neutrality, which we talked about 2 weeks ago, and it's happening. There's multiple cities, multiple counties now talking about, well, look, man, we got to provide this service, and why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they? You know, I don't think we're in a situation where the federal government can do it, and I don't think I would trust them to do it correctly. Because don't forget, I mean, we, through the federal government, we the taxpayers, gave the ISPs billions of dollars to lay down fiber, and they took the money and said thanks, and they didn't do shit. And you know, in a Scandinavian country or a small Asian country, it works because it's small, right? This country's way too big. So
why healthcare, being universal healthcare, is so difficult.
Yeah,
every state has different needs, and you know, the same mistake. It's too big.
Yeah. So particularly as libertarians, I'm pretty happy about this. This is why, honestly, I said this 2 weeks ago, I wasn't upset about net neutrality getting removed.
Oh, same here.
Drive innovation, and this will do it. So my next prediction is community driven, and I mean not even at the state level, like at most at county level. Probably more likely, especially where I live, city driven. Yeah. Where we'll see municipal, governed by the municipality, internet.
Yeah, I like that. I hope it actually happens, because then we might actually get better quality of service.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now you can decide where you want to live, not only on their laws, but their bandwidth.
And what I get. What's my dedicated up and downstream?
That's right.
Yeah, that's good. I dig it. All right. So many of our viewers may not know this, but the cost per breach for like basically per record, the highest in the industry as of 2017, at least it was like back in April when I did this research. Universities had the highest cost per record for data breach. Now, many may be wondering why would bad actors want to go after universities? Well, they go after them because they're building a pipeline of who they're going to compromise later as well. Because if they can build a pipeline and figure out who they want to go and breach later, why not go to the universities before people have attained a mass amount of wealth? So my prediction is that we're going to have a major Ivy League university will have to disclose that they have been breached. And I don't think any of them have, at least I can't remember any that have been publicly made out there that made the news, like going on CNN and saying Harvard was breached or Princeton or you name it. I'm going Ivy League breached publicly, be major news in 2018.
That's a good one, man. Well, it's an interesting situation because a big model for universities is to retain an enormous amount of data about their students, and well, because they want alumni to donate. And I know you get it just as much as I. Listen, man, and this drives me crazy. By the way, I'm a full-time employee of the university, and I get alumni spam asking me to donate. So, man, that would be pretty cool to see the fallout of that.
Yeah.
How does a university recover from that brand wise, but how do they deal with it? Man, I don't know. That would be interesting.
I wouldn't want to be the PR person at that university that gets breached like that, because to me, that's tough, right? Because your revenue is on people. I need students to show up. I need students to pay the tuition. And now if you're breached, I don't know. That's not like going to Target. I don't have to go to Harvard. I could still always go to Stanford.
Well, right, and because you're talking about human capital that has an enormous amount of choice at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're getting to an Ivy League school, you can pretty much choose where you want to go. I don't want to debate why you got there, but that's just true.
Yeah.
Man.
The Ivy League you got into.
Right. Right. Wow. I wonder if that'll be the CIO that gets canned.
Yeah. Well, could be.
Wow.
Maybe the chancellor. Who knows?
Yeah. It could be. Wow. All right, man. So here's my next one. What are we at? 4 or 5 now?
You're at your number 4.
Okay. Related to that, actually to the one you made before this, there's an enormous amount of hype around new technology. And we see the same ones year after year after year. Endpoint, it's the year of the Linux desktop, it's the year of the firewall, whatever, right? I think this year, I think this year we're going to see a catastrophic blockchain failure. And I don't know that it's going to be in the algorithm itself. I don't know if it's going to be in a platform. Like all of a sudden now Ethereum is really taking off, and that was a slow buildup. I don't know that it would be necessarily related to cryptocurrency, but blockchain is something that's being shoehorned into an enormous amount of situations that I don't know that we understand yet if it's appropriate there. It can work, sure it can work. But is it the right solution? And I think it's being shoehorned in because of its novelty. And I think that's going to lead to a catastrophic failure.
Yeah.
And I don't mean people getting their Dogecoin stolen.
Yeah, I would tend to agree because, I mean, here's the thing. The reason why Microsoft is breached or, the product has vulnerabilities is because it's got an overwhelming majority of the market share. I mean, massive market share. Well, cryptocurrencies and things of that nature are starting to make the news a lot more. Bitcoin just went public, right? So target.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's getting exercised. If nothing else, we're going to find out if there is a flaw in the implementation of an algorithm or in the algorithm itself. I don't suspect there's a problem with the algorithm necessarily. There could be.
There might be.
More likely, like most crypto systems, it's probably going to be in the implementation of it. That's my prediction.
I would agree.
But it's getting exercised, and it's getting exercised exponentially. So, yeah, I think there'll be a catastrophic failure in blockchain.
All right. Here's my number 4. Not like Dr. Pittman over here, who's the 4-time winner of the Researcher of the Year award at Capital. No major cloud provider, Amazon, Microsoft, something like that can deal with infrastructure as a service. Not like sales, none of the SaaS providers, but Amazon, Microsoft, Rackspace, none of them will be breached in 2018. And I'm not talking about user implementation error. I'm talking about an exploitable vulnerability in the hypervisor that would allow massive breaches. Will not happen in 2018.
I don't think so either, man. I like that prediction. It's bold, but it's safe at the same time. And let me add why I think it's safe. Because they do basic stuff, and they do that basic stuff extremely well. And right? I mean, it's just that simple.
Well, the reason why I'm putting it out there is because of the amount of FUD that's out there saying that cloud is not secure. Hey, newsflash, people, nothing is secure. Nothing. Any vendor that says we're hack-proof, run fast. Not true. Everything, given enough time, is exploitable. But I'm saying that in 2018, and I don't mean a theoretical breach, like a collision in a hashing algorithm would get you X. There will not be a breach. There might be a vulnerability that will get patched, but it will not get breached.
No, man. I was just thinking about you making that prediction. Has Amazon ever been breached? The web store. You know what I mean? The proper Amazon.
Oh, Amazon. I have not heard of one.
I don't think so, man. I don't remember anything. And think about how much traffic they do.
A lot. So much so that President Trump is like, the Postal Service needs to charge more. Hey, that's the best thing that happened to the Postal Service is that they won the contract with Amazon because they get a lot of money. Amazon could go anywhere. They don't need the Postal Service, people. Matter of fact, they have enough money they could just start building drones, get an FAA license, and just start drop shipping it.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, because I use Amazon a lot, thank God they use USPS. USPS used to be shit for a long time. And man, they've really turned a corner, and they are far better, at least in my area, than UPS. Fuck UPS. You buy something, man, and it just falls into the shadow realm for a week. And there's no updates, there's nothing, and all of a sudden it shows up.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, how's this even tracking? I mean, you notified me that the guy picked it up, but after that, I have no idea where it's at. That's not tracking. Oh, man, don't get me started. I hate those bastards.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, so you're on your number 5.
Oh, man, let me look at my list here. Because
my number 5 is a doozy.
All right, then I got to go big because I got a lot of little gimpy ones here. Like automation, AI. Here's my big one, dude. I think 2018 is going to be the year where we see a major platform start to provide access for money, right? For some nominal fee, for us to actually view and manage our own data.
Like what kind of platform are you talking?
Like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, somebody big like that basically survives because of user-generated data, like ancillary data, usage habits, ads and shit like that. I think somebody's actually going to figure out the next vertical, which is we're already collecting this, but I have to imagine to justify my prediction, because this would be enormous. I have to imagine that the market for hooking up B2B and selling our data is oversaturated at this point. What more can you get out of us, right? We're talking about John Q. Public, right?
Right.
I think because of the market pressure to continue to increase revenue, somebody's going to say they have to at some point. Look, why don't we just charge these bastards to manage their own data? I mean, because that's like an easy win. You're already collecting it. You already have the platform that's being used because you're collecting the data from it. So charge me $5 a month or $15 a year to access and manage it myself.
Yeah. There's a company in the UK that has been trying to do this to where you can manage your own data, because they're kind of like, look, why shouldn't you make money off yourself?
Mm-hmm.
But, you want to give up your access to your data? Go right ahead. Here's a platform, and you're going to make money off of it. It's your data, so you might as well make money from it. So yeah, it would be great and of course it's a fee, but I mean, arguably I should make more than what I'm paying.
Yeah.
All right, like that. Dig it. All right. This one, and I will tell you right now, I haven't even looked at Eric Cole's predictions. And I don't need to look at Eric Cole's predictions. But he will not get any more than 50% of his predictions. And that would be an improvement, because I don't think he's gotten 50% yet. But I will say he will not, again, for however many years in a row he's been making predictions, he will not be any more than 50% correct in 2018. I know you all are waiting for it, because we always have something about Eric Cole. He's a good instructor for SANS. I know a lot of people that have taken his classes, they speak highly of him for teaching. But his predictions, his advice is not, in my opinion, is the same as everyone else. I mean, he put out this thing the other day and going, oh my gosh, you will not believe it. This just does not get any realer than this. I was standing in line doing last minute Christmas shopping, and this guy was like, how is my wife tracking me? How does she know I'm here? Oh, well, sir, look at your privacy settings. Who doesn't know this today? Everything tracks you, all right? Everything, unless you turn it off. Nothing, he says nothing that is out there. He makes safe predictions. He makes safe arguments. Nothing he says, nothing he does is, in my opinion, extraordinary. It's cheap music.
Well, I mean, I find his advice about as useful as I find the Gartner Magic Quadrants, which is to say I don't.
I've got to take a little bit of my diversion because you're having to bring up Gartner. Our former employer, Silent Circle, they've been posting all over LinkedIn that they were in this Gartner basically guide on communications. They posted it on LinkedIn. They posted the link to Gartner, which means I have to have a username and password or pay money to see it. Any vendor that sends me a link and I have to pay to get access to that review of your own product, hey, you can pay Gartner to make it public.
Yeah.
If you're not going to make it public, don't post it. You're not validated. Okay? And by the way, since we left, they have not been patching their vulnerabilities in 72 hours. Just saying, hasn't happened.
No, it hasn't. Well, I mean, and how could it? They completely gutted that department. I mean, yeah. There's nobody there to manage it as far as I know.
That's right. So back to that prediction, Dr. Eric Cole will not get more than 50% of his 2018 predictions right. I don't even know if he's posted them. I did a quick look. They're not on his website. They're not on his Twitter. Maybe, and by the way, it's a win to us if he doesn't post predictions. So if he doesn't post any, it's still a win to us.
Oh, yeah, because by default, that's 0.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, and, maybe he's waiting on us.
That could be. At some point, people are just going to start looking at our predictions because we should go back and take a look at last year's. I bet you were at least 75% right, which is better than all these other experts. I hate when people use the term expert. If everyone's an expert, then no one's an expert.
Right, exactly. Right, it's diffusion of meaning. Thought leader. That's another one. Oh. What does that even? I've never understood that, dude. I've never had a desire to call myself that.
It'll become true then.
I don't know, man. How about we all just sit down and have like a meaningful discourse? Why do you have to be the expert? I don't know. Whatever, man.
I don't even know what to say about it. All right. Here's your number 5. That'll give us 10.
I think I did 5, dude, didn't I? I just did my 5.
You did. Yeah, we did all 10.
I mean, I got more.
Well, I just did a 5, short show, but I'm just going to say these kind of things. This is not the year of multi-factor authentication. It's still not going to be mainstream. It is not the year of endpoint. It's not the year of the firewall. Intrusion prevention is still not quite dead. Some other company will start using the term next-gen something. There is no next-gen, especially firewall. So all you firewall companies, stop using it. SonicWall, I'm talking to you. It does not matter. None of y'all are next-gen. The only one that was a next-gen firewall, even though I'm not a fan of it, was Check Point back in like early 2000. They coined it. Everyone else copycat. I got nothing else on my predictions.
Hey, man, this is the last thing I'll say, though, and this isn't a prediction. But I saw the new Star Wars movie.
Oh, yeah? But I saw it, too.
I didn't watch the whole thing.
Really? I liked it. I dug it.
This is what I realized, though. And I had, over Thanksgiving, I had gone back to Ohio, remember?
Yeah.
And I had met with one of my friends, and we were talking about things, and we both came to the realization, he's an academic, by the way. And we came to the realization that we don't like certain things because we lose sight of the fact that those things aren't for us. And that's why we don't like them. So of course you're not going to like it because it's not for you. And that's what I realized watching what I watched was this is no longer for me. And that's why I can't enjoy it. I had to stop, man. I couldn't take it. It was just.
I got you. I liked it. For itself. I mean, as a fan, it's like being invested in any character for anything. Like I felt the way Luke Skywalker was. No, I don't feel that Luke Skywalker should have ever gotten to that point. I don't think that was. I think that was completely contrary to the character of Luke Skywalker. That's my opinion because, look, based on the theory of Star Wars, Luke Skywalker was the most powerful Jedi of all time.
Yeah.
And because of that, he has access to all these other former Jedi Masters. They would never have allowed him to stray and become that jaded. It would not have happened. And I feel it went contrary to the character of Luke Skywalker. But
now I'll say this: I don't think it was a bad film. I'm not shitting on it. I don't agree with a lot of the very negative reviews I read. I realized about halfway through that it wasn't for me. It wasn't made for me, and that doesn't make it bad. It just makes it something that I couldn't particularly enjoy. Now I really liked the Snoke interaction with Kylo, especially in the first part. I thought it was phenomenal. It made me wonder though, where did Snoke come from? Because there's always the two.
Yeah.
And if the Emperor and Vader died in return.
Yeah, how did this part come? Yeah. I mean, they all kind of had other apprentices in waiting.
Yeah. Well, at least in the Clone Wars cartoons, which I love, man. I love those cartoons.
Yeah, they're good.
They dealt with some of that, like with Darth Maul coming back and shit like that. So there was things that made me think that I liked. I just realized, man, and this is my point for 2018 too, is stop. I want people to focus on stop being negative about things. Just realize what's for you and what's not. And why would you spend time on things that aren't for you?
Yeah, that's actually a good point because I say this quite a bit. In my personal life or professional life, whenever you go outside of your nature, whatever your nature is, if you go against it, it will not be successful. That doesn't matter, if it's a personal relationship. If you're constantly trying to change someone, it's not going to happen. It won't. You'll be miserable, that person will be miserable. Same thing with your job. If you're constantly having to try to change either your people or yourself in order to fit with that organization, you're not going to be happy. So figure out who you are, figure out what your nature is, don't go against it.
No, no, use it and let the challenges you find and seek out and engage in naturally change you, right?
Hopefully we'll get her on here because she has just, taken off. I couldn't be prouder of someone that, I was able to take under my wing for a while and still be able to say she's a mentee of mine, Mika, Cyber Meeks for anyone out there. She's decided that for the most part, she needs to figure out how to do her own company. And she's realized this 9-to-5 kind of thing is not for me. I can do X. I don't know when she'll do it. It may be 10 years from now, but she's determined that she's going to do her own company. And you know what? She knows what she needs to do in order to get there. So more people start realizing what your nature is, I think you'll be, the fruit you will produce will be plentiful.
I agree, man. I agree. And maybe that's our good positive prediction for 2018. I think more and more people are starting to become aware of these kinds of ideas.
I would agree, and I hope they do. I don't know about you, but I had zero intention of watching the UFC fight tonight.
I'll read about it tonight or tomorrow morning, but I'm not watching it.
Yeah, there's nothing on there that excites me. I could care less. I've never really been a fan of Holly Holm or Cyborg. I think Cyborg has basically been able to be a dominant fighter because there's not been any competition.
Yeah. Well, and she's big. I mean, she definitely has power. But listen, man, and I've said this before to you in private, and I think I've said it on the podcast, but if not, here, I'll say it again. It's hard for me to watch this stuff anymore, man, with all the research we know now about TBI and head trauma and shit. I just don't enjoy it. Not that, it's their choice. I'm fine with them choosing to do it as adults. I just don't really want to participate too much anymore.
And that's probably why I'm starting to get a lot more into just shooting.
No.
We talked last week about going through the concealed carry permit process, and I think I'm just going to start getting into more competitive shooting. As long as I don't point the gun at myself and pull the trigger, I'm feel pretty safe.
Yeah. No, man, and for Christmas, you can see the box right here. I got a new indoor trainer cycling, and this one's pretty advanced. And there's a cycling product called Zwift, but with a Z. Man, you can race, you can ride with people from all over the world and chat with them. Dude, it's phenomenal. So I've gotten into racing on that.
Nice.
And it's just a good community of people, man.
That's good. And again, it goes back to the thing. Be yourself. Don't go against your nature. I wish everyone in 2018 will follow our advice. If it's not for you, get out.
Yep.
If it's not your nature, stop doing it.
Yeah, you're not stuck. It may seem like it, but you're not. It just may be a little painful to change, but of course it always is. But it makes it worth it.
I moved out to Indiana from Washington, D.C. area.
Yeah, I'm about to move to the state I swore I would never even set foot in.
That's true. That is true. To be a chicken farmer.
Hey, man, somebody's got to do it.
My goal is when you're out there, that some of the students start sending me like chickens and roosters.
Perfect, dude. I like chicken. It tastes good.
Oh, dude,
I like it. I really like eggs.
Hey, you know what? Fresh farm eggs like that. Can't go wrong. All right, people. There it is.
That's it. Episode. Oh, you know what? I got one last prediction, man. One last for us. I think in 2018 we'll make it to at least to episode 100. We're at 48. This is 48. This is the wrap of 48.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Though we'll have to come up with it. We'll actually come up, with our schedule ahead of time and post it on our site and on Twitter. So, hey, happy 2018, everyone. Be safe, my friend. I hope you and the missus and your little one, enjoy the new year, and we'll see everyone next year.
Same to you, brother. Stay warm. Later, everybody.
Bye.